disrupted.
America that I fought for.
Weird thing to happen. Hello, folks. Welcome to this edition of Kitz Corner. Been a fantastic day so far. So we have some very interesting breaking news in regard of outsider media, particularly one Alex Jones. It looks like that the consequences of his court case, which we dove into a bit, we exposed a lot of the hypocrisy, the real detriment of why they want to pursue Alex Jones, why they want to shut down his InfoWars channel. It's far, far beyond the measures of just simple disregard of the Sandy Hook victim, far beyond just what he said about child actors, stuff like that. Far beyond that measure, because we know from sources like James O'Keefe, who did undercover investigations, to reveal that people like the CIA were pursuing this case because they wanted to shut down a popular outsider organization. They wanted to shut down InfoWars because they were a direct competitor of mainstream establishment media. And considering a lot more people are listening to a character like Alex Jones than, say, Anderson Cooper, that's why they doubled down on this case. And it just seems to be leading down this path of just one of the largest outsider organizations being shut down. As according to Forbes magazine here, says Alex Jones InfoWars will be auctioned off this week to help pay Sandy Hook families $1.5 billion. Here's what to know. Alex Jones inflammatory InfoWars franchise will be auctioned off this week to help pay the nearly $1.5 billion Jones owes the families of victims of Sandy Hook Elementary School massacre, which he spread false conspiracies on, and a judge ruled earlier this year as officials considered the fate of his remaining asset. Now, as I stated covering this, that even if, let's just say, you're on the side to say that Alex Jones did spread these false conspiracies, made up these lies, made up this, and he should be punished for that remark. Even if that is your case, whether you agree with the statements or not that Alex Jones made on InfoWars, the fact that they doubled down onto the point of shutting down his entire organization of InfoWars goes far beyond just simple verbiage of what he said about Sandy Hook. It goes far beyond the means of just Sandy Hook massacre and his remarks on that. The whole purpose and whole intent of this, again, as we saw with James O'Keefe's reporting, interviewing that CIA agent who was doubling down on this case, the reason for it is because a persona like Alex Jones and an organization like InfoWars was a direct threat to mainstream narrative establishment. It was a direct threat to the narratives that were being presented by legacy media. And if they would go after someone like Alex Jones and try to epitomize them just on verbiage and try to shut down his entire organization, saying that he has to pay $1.5 billion to these families, then they can pursue that to anybody. They can pursue that to Joe Rogan. They can pursue that to Jimmy Dore. They can pursue that to people like me. And that's the real reaction to this. That's the bigger picture that people don't really see and understand about this. That even though specifically this case is about Alex Jones, this sets the precedent. This opens the floodgates to more and more people, more and more outsider opinions being squashed down and put upon unjust lawfare to shut them down, to just absolutely shut them down. And I don't agree with that measure. Again, if Alex Jones did say what he did, yes, maybe he said some remarks about Sandy Hook that he shouldn't. And yes, maybe he should have been punished on that. But to shut down an entire base of InfoWars that he spent years and years building upon and building this audience, this is going to do more fundamental damage to the whole perspective of things than it does to help aid the people of Sandy Hook. So here's a bit of Alex Jones stating this himself on his broadcast of what's going to happen to InfoWars.
Wednesday afternoon, InfoWars, the equipment, Infowars.com, InfoWarsStore.com, and a whole bunch of other stuff is at a federal bankruptcy auction from the fake judgments and the rigged trials where I was found guilty beforehand and they had literal show trials out of the Soviet Union or Nazi Germany. Right when I walked in here during the break after getting a glass of water, saw the auctioneers inside the building going around surveying from the last time they were here to make sure all the stuff's here. Everything tagged, everything marked, this desk, these tables, this microphone. They're in the control room right now. So that's how close this is. Now, good guys say they're going to buy it. Okay, they're good guys. They buy it. Who knows if they're really good guys once they buy it? You know, we got to see. I don't count on any of that. And as the countdown goes down, if the bad guys do buy this in less than 48 hours, then we'll know. I'll keep broadcasting until they show up. They said they want to shut it down that day. They'll be here, and they're going to come in, and they're going to flip a switch in there. I'm going to make them do that. I'm going to stay on the air right to the last minute because we don't quit to the last minute. And then I'm going to get in the new ship. I'm going to step into the new ship and continue on. But the ship is not properly fueled. It does not have everything done to it it needs.
So think about that for a second. Put aside the trial for a second. Because again, everybody is so dead set focused on the remarks of Sandy Hook. And I agree that, yes, he may have said some wrongdoings and there needs to be repercussions on that. But just note on the fact that there are people shutting down his entire affiliation. So not just Alex Jones that's being punished for this, for his remarks, but anyone that is associated with InfoWars, anyone that works as a reporter, as an editor, as a people behind the scenes, camera operators, everybody is being substantially punished, collectively punished for misremarks about Sandy Hook. Now, to me, that doesn't sound like just punishment just on verbiage of that. To me, it sounds like we are going to use this as a measure to shut down your services. We are doing this as an unjust lawfare to extend our circumstances to shut down your organization. Because it's not just Sandy Hook, ladies and gentlemen. It is not just the words they said to those families. It is not just punishing for that, but they're trying to punish him for being an outsider, independent media source that contradicts mainstream narratives. Now, I don't agree with everything Alex Jones says. I don't have to agree with everything Alex Jones says. You don't have to either. But trying to squash his voice, trying to squash a person like his, trying to delete him off the air, trying to delete him from his right of being able to broadcast, being his right to have these opinions, is going to diminish further of free speech and is going to open the floodgates to, again, to anybody of their choosing. Because what they're doing to Alex Jones, they could easily implement that to any other person that they disagree with. Anyone that stands in the challenge of status quo narrative, they can easily open the floodgates to this kind of action that deep state insiders were gambling on this case to hope that Alex Jones fails the case, that InfoWars gets shut down and auctioneers would auction off everything and they won't have to deal with them anymore. That is directly from CIA infiltrators involved in this case. Why would the CIA get so involved in this case? Exactly that point. And if they can do it to InfoWars, they can do it to anybody. Anybody outside the norms of the legacy media narrative status quo establishment talking point that they push extensively to the public. And that is why this is truly a danger, folks. This is why I speak about this. This is why I stuck my neck out. You know, most people, are disgusted by a character like Alex Jones. I at least stuck my neck out and say, I don't care how you feel about him. I have some, differences with Alex Jones. I had differences with InfoWars. I critiqued InfoWars on many different things. Well, why are we restricting his abilities of free speech? Why is his free speech more in the need of deteriorizing than your free speech, than anyone else's free speech? That is what's cynical about this. That is what needs to be addressed in all this. And that is why I'm showing you this clip. That's why I'm showing you this article, in the fact that this is a wake-up call. This should be the red flag to understand that they're doing this to Alex Jones. They'll do it to anybody. And they will try to find a similar case. They will try to dig up some dirt on you and try to do unlawfare tactics, violating their own ethics laws, to tackle down an outsider organization. It will do the exact same thing to anybody. And that's the troublesome worry about this. That is why people need to address InfoWars capture as not a celebratory win for Sandy Hook families, as a deterioration of different opinions, a deterioration of free speech, a deterioration of independent media. Because they could do this to anybody. And they have done it to other people. And this is not over. This is just the start. If they can take down Alex Jones, they can take down anybody that serves as a threat to the mainstream narrative establishment. Anyone that speaks out against war, anyone that tells you the truth about COVID, anyone that tells you the truth about government bureaucracy, anyone that tells you the truth about deep state activities, anyone that exposes the truth and actually does real in-depth reporting, investigative journalism. And I would say they do more so on InfoWars than they do MSNBC, that's for sure. Anyone that does that, they will pin as a threat, and they will create unjust laws, and they will try to tackle them down as much as possible to shut down any opposing voices. They've been trying to do this for years, and since they had the Sandy Hook verbiage and that talking point and bring that to court, they use that to their advantage. Shut down Alex Jones and InfoWars. So let this be a warning.